Well, happy Saturday, everybody. It's December 6th. I am back at home after a very long day of driving. And I figured I've been doing a lot of these lives when it's like the end of the night and no one's on, and it's like, stream of consciousness before I go to bed for some reason. And I think it's going to change it up a little bit because I'll tell you, it's been a heck of a Saturday, but I think I've got a little energy left to be able to do this. But first off, before I began everything, I know that a couple days ago I posted a little graphic. I had to have some fun on Canva with this one, but I did post a little thing, talking about my recent struggles in response to the end of the year's situation, my layoffs, my current underemployment. I'm not going to say completely unemployed, but my underemployment. And, a lot of you really came out of the woodwork to help me out. And I just wanted to, if you do watch this video, thank you personally from the bottom of my heart for thinking about me and, just throwing me a little help here. Over the years, I've gotten a lot better about asking for help. It was something that I wasn't brought up, doing, mainly because of the weird situation that I grew up in. And, you know, as I've grown older and have been able to get to know people and get to know good people over the years, I come to realize that, it is okay to sometimes ask for the help, especially when it's in a place where you've done everything you could and it's the whole situation is just completely unlucky. And I'm going to definitely put a lot of your contributions to use, and of course anything that is in excess, which I hope may be plenty. I will definitely pass on to someone else in need, which I have done in the past for people who have given me things, and I've been able to find another home for it or another place. Um, but a couple things actually just came to mind, and I'm going to probably post them later because, I may say it in passing here, but it's probably not going to stick. But um, I will say if there's anyone around who's looking for a kind of a throwaway laptop to use for basic interneting, like a Chromebook level stuff. I actually did restore an 8-year old laptop that actually belonged to my aunt, and because my aunt is a nun, and I might be mentioning her maybe in a subsequent podcast or broadcast, um, it's pretty old and no longer supports the newest version of Windows. So in response to that, I took this laptop, I've completely factory wiped it, and installed the most recent version of Linux Mint on this laptop. So if anyone is looking for, if knows anyone in need of just a laptop for the most basic computering, like searching the internet, trying to apply for a job, something very basic. This thing is pretty lame in regards to trying to run Zoom. I did test Zoom on it. It's okay. It's not the greatest. You'd have better luck using your phone. But if you're just looking to just surf the internet and do something very basic with it, write things and all that stuff, I have it available. And the only like cost I put into it was to purchase a replacement AC adapter on Amazon. So it was like $15, which I have no problem giving this laptop away for free if it, to the right person who needs it. So I will put that out there. Just saying, if anyone is looking or knows somebody who could benefit from a very very not very well like used, it wasn't used a lot. I mean, this thing's brand new. It also is a touch screen. So if someone's looking for that kind of thing just to get them by, help them survive, it's very basic, but it will help. So yeah, let me know, and I will toss it out there for you to use. It is perfectly fine and works great. It's just something I have that I worked on as a side project. Speaking of which, if you are looking for any sort of services for your laptops and or desktops. I am available on a freelance basis, just like old times, and I do give the friends and family discount if you are in need of those kinds of things. I do have some people that are taking advantage of that right now, and I'm glad they are, because it's been a while since I've got to tinker with something, and it gives me something to do. Aside from driving around in circles, which is still going on. Today was no different. And I will say, if I could turn today into an episode, into a sitcom, I definitely could. It has been an insane kind of day. It actually started with me attempting to take a shower at 3 a.m. and finding out that the water heater was out. Yeah, I had the cold shower this morning, and it didn't last very long because it kind of got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to choose the areas that need to be cleaned, that are the most important, and I'm just going to kind of move on with my life. Yeah, it was that bad. Thankfully, around just a little after 2:30, the maintenance guy did come by, was able to diagnose the issue, start my heater back up, and then also let me know that due to the age of the water heater, which was actually installed, I didn't even realize this because I've been living in this house since 2015. But apparently, this water heater was installed in 2017, and I didn't notice it. Which, okay, sure. But apparently, and for the HVAC people, maybe this might actually make sense to you. But my maintenance guy told me that the original thermistor, which is the little device that turns on the water heater depending on its ability to sense how hot or how cold something is, was wearing out, and that's the reason why it threw up its hands and basically said, "Oh, yeah, you don't need the heater anymore," so it shut itself off. So what happened was both the pilot light and the water heater had to be restarted. So that is actually what happened there. And my maintenance guy was super nice. He goes, first thing Monday, I'm gonna go get the part, and I'll install it. And you don't need to be around because the water heater's outside, and you already gave me access, so we're cool. And I'm like, okay, great. I like this guy. This is a super, super nice maintenance guy. And I'm very glad that whenever he gets dispatched out to me, he's really nice about it. So I really appreciate having him around. So that's been a good thing. I do have a couple Airbnb guests currently, and they have successfully tested said shower and have informed me that the hot water does work again, and they enjoyed it. That makes me feel better. So that means I know that I will actually be able to completely cleanse myself prior to tomorrow's shift, which is totally fine. So, just a lot of LAX weirdness going on. But today was a weird one because for the first time in my time working for this particular rideshare company, I ended up going all the way down to Long Beach and taking someone to, of all things, Long Beach Airport. And it was interesting because this is the first time that I've ended up tagging two airports. And Long Beach Airport, obviously compared to LAX's foot traffic is nowhere. They pale in comparison. And even a busy day at Long Beach, you're still in and out of there in less than 10 minutes. Whereas, I just found out from a friend of mine who was actually on her way to go pick up her parents at LAX about an hour ago, that they had just closed departures level because there's a potential bomb threat on the departures top floor. And because said friend works in government departments related to stuff like that, fortunately she was off duty. She's just looking at this going, okay, this is stupid. Why did this have to happen while I had to go pick up my parents? And I'm going, I can't help you with that. I was actually joking around with her. I guess I said, no fair. You got the bomb threat. I just got the horrible traffic that makes you cry internally. But I guess we can't have it all. I will have to say though, things that do make my day go a little bit brighter is the fact that like every passenger that I've had has either been super quiet or super cool. And I haven't had an asshole yet. And I'm closing in on almost 200 rides so far, and I still haven't had one. Granted that, I've done, like, when I was driving like 5 years ago, I had probably well over 2,000 rides, maybe close to 2,500 rides on Uber platform alone. I'm not even talking about Lyft when I was doing that. And I will say that I can count the number of horrible riders with like one hand. One of the things that you always get these stories about like the most psychotic, the craziest, the passengers. I mean, I have to tell one that actually I found out about like on my first week on the job. There was a story that did pop up that actually did happen on the shift before me, and I'll go into that in a bit, or at least I'll remind myself to do so. But I've been really fortunate. Like, you get these horror stories and they make the news and things like that, but you also have to realize that like tens of thousands of rides happen in an hour, on the Uber platform in Southern California alone. You've got thousands and thousands of people, taking rides from who knows, from different cars, different, not just like, people who drive for companies like me, like right now, you got the independent people, you've got all that stuff. And then you realize the ones that pop up, it's like one out of like maybe 10,000 that you'll get an incident like this that gets publicized horribly. And then you forget about all the good ones that come in, and then you're like, well, yeah, that's because, no news is good news. I had quite a number of passengers today that had some very different stories and reasons why they were in my car. And there were a couple that were very poignant. And so one of the things that I've done in response to this, because of the people who are on my Facebook regularly and see the posts that I make at about 8 a.m. during my 5-day work week, when I do the report during lunch, is that I decided, because, and this was also inspired by a motorcycle friend who actually started a Substack herself, is that I decided to create my own Substack in response to this constant stream of updates that I keep giving. Because one of the things about Facebook is that if you don't save your stuff somewhere else, it's going to just get lost in the sauce. But doing a Substack and republishing many of these, sometimes as a bonus with extra details, it's my way of archiving all of this and just publicizing some of the weird stories. Because when I was driving for Uber back in the day, I didn't do this, mainly because a lot of my driving was very unstructured, and I kind of just drove when it was convenient for me. And now I'm starting to understand the reason why sticking to fixed shifts actually makes your pay a lot more consistent. It's a very interesting concept. As much as I really dislike the whole I wake up at 4 a.m. thing, I am now realizing why it makes sense in terms of being able to just remain consistent at what you're doing. You start a routine, you do all this. Yeah, I know I take some pretty monstrous rides in terms of distance, and I still get paid the same no matter what, which honestly just takes a little bit of a load off me, but then helps me focus on customer service, which then hopefully leads to tips and adds to my hourly rate. So, I mean, it's like you got to take the good with the bad here, or at least an advantage over a disadvantage. I know that, unfortunately, in today's economy and just the way that things are working out here in California, it's actually more viable for me to drive for a company than it is for me to spruce up the Ford Escape and do it independently now. And, I've accepted that, and I'm okay with it. Actually, I kind of like the structure because I know that I can just, stick my car in a parking lot, do what I need to do to inspect the car, jump into the car, do the work, keep track of my hours. And because I'm taking advantage of many of the technical glitches that this company has, especially things like time clock, where taking my lunches at certain times is and listing the corrections on the time clocks is usually Scout's honor, which is fine with me. I can be I don't really have a lot of supervision in regards to what I do, so there's that. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I can't do when I'm driving, like dicking around on Facebook or whatnot, or looking at my phone, which you shouldn't do anyway, because I mean you can't be distracted on the road. But one of the things that I did learn, and it can usually be thwarted by wearing glasses, which I still don't do it, but Teslas actually yell at you when you look down, like away from the from the road. They actually like chime at you and yell at you, which I think is kind of funny. And I will say, on an aside, is that with how many safety features and assistive things that are in Teslas, the fact that so many of them still get into accidents actually boggles my mind and makes me realize how distracted people are actually are on the road. I'm sitting here going, um, I'm sorry. Like when I hit a turn signal, and not only am I looking at my mirror like an OG person because I've been driving since before smart shit came out, and where I actually had to turn, like stick my hand on the other backrest and look this way to check to check behind me while I'm backing up the car. Like it wasn't. I didn't get a car, and I will say this: I didn't get a car with a reversed camera until 2021. And by that time, I had been driving for 19 years. So it took me that long before I even got a car that had the smart shit in it. I mean, my Hyundai, rest in peace, that Hyundai. Okay, that my 2016 Hyundai, the one that I was driving when I got taken out at the Beverly Center in right before I had to take my finals for my master's, and it forced me to retire from Rideshare until December of that year, when I ended up having to rent a car to run 3 weeks because I wasn't making any money substitute teaching, and I kind of needed money for rent. Once again, like all of this, this whole drive rideshare thing is because I need to pay rent so I don't like go homeless and shit. Like, yeah, that's literally what happened. But yeah, that car was bare bones. It was a base model Hyundai Elantra with no radars, with no backup camera, with nothing. I mean, I was doing everything the old-fashioned way on a 2016. It did have air conditioning and a radio and Bluetooth, and it was an automatic, but that was probably the best thing I had right there. And at the time, that was the car that got me around. I mean, the thing had close to 76,000 miles when it died, by things out of its control. I'm just grateful that, its safety features are legendary. Okay, Hyundai Elantras, I will not knock a Hyundai Elantra for the rest of my life. That is an amazing car. Very cost-effective, very, very user-friendly car. And I would recommend it to anyone. But seriously, like regardless of the car that you drive in your life, you just hope in your whole mind and everything that you just never get hit in whatever you're driving. But yeah, especially with all of these safety features, the cameras that pop up, all of the chimes and all the weird things where it screams at you that you need to put your seatbelt on. It screams at you about everything. And then there are people still crashing these things. And I'm kind of laughing because I'm on my way home from work at around 12:45 coming back here. So I'm going to go, meet the maintenance guy to make sure that, to fix my water heater and all that stuff. And, there's a dude in a Tesla, a Tesla Model Y, just like the one that I just drove straight a whole work shift in. And doesn't use their freaking turn signal when they're trying to turn into a lot. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I saw that guy coming in, and I'm going, dude, I just drove one of your cousins for 8 hours straight. At least have some freaking respect. Seriously. But no, they won't. Although I will say, the more that I drive these Teslas, the more that electric cars grow on me. Not just Teslas in general, but I'm starting to see where there's a place for them. Although I will say the biggest caveat is still going to be super, super long distance driving, especially if you're trying to go in a straight line, because of the amount of charging time required to get it back up to like 85%, which is the safe for battery life, the safe charging level before you pop off again and go do whatever you want. Even with a charging, like one of those high-speed charging machines, like whenever I come back to wherever the car goes, when I return it, I'm parking it directly into a charging station. And even with that high-powered charging station, it takes upwards to 30 to 35 minutes to completely recharge the car to get it ready for the next driver. So, you put that in perspective, and then you think about your trip to the gas station, and even while standing in line at the Costco, it's not going to take you 35 minutes to fill up gas in your car and then for you to drive off. So then that's the funny part where I started realizing that there's a reason why you can connect to Netflix, There's a reason why you can connect to all sorts of apps on that screen of yours, and there's a web browser. I'm like stopped somewhere and I'm looking. I'm all like looking at the apps just for fun because I want to learn. I want to know my enemy here, my friend, my enemy, whatever, my frenemy, my the Tesla, right? And I'm looking and going, wait a minute, this thing has a web browser? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you telling me that I can check my email with my car without having to bust out a laptop? This is weird. So yeah, and this was the matcha latte that I made. Thanks Sarah for teaching me how to make a matcha latte because I'm needing it right now to get through this. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. So before I forget, because I always like to scroll tangent here when I'm working, when I'm talking here. But so the whole story that I got, and I remember retelling it to the first passenger I had that particular day. But I had found out in the overnight shift. So this is the 8 p.m. is like the 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift or something like that, where 7 to 3, so 7 p.m. to 3 a.m., that means that you get the bar crowd. That means you get the partiers. That means you get the people who are out there for the reasons that are usually not related to work. And so, of course, some people party a little too hard. Well, apparently, in somebody's car, and the word got out on this one real quick because of the just outlandish severity of what this person did. Like, it was okay. First off, disclosure, okay, if you're not into like gruesome bodily fluids, you probably need to like mute this or something. But I'm gonna go on anyway. So, some of the scary things, or like the more like horror story things that you would get as a driver, is like you pray to God that the person doesn't like vomit in your car, or anything like that. The worst thing I got was when I picked up an elderly person, and this was in my personal car. I picked up an elderly person who was coming out of dialysis, and it turned out that like one of her ports was bleeding out. So I actually had to turn the car around, go back to the dialysis place, and ask them to patch her up before I returned her to her house. So there was like a little bit of blood, but like I wasn't going to say anything because I know how bad the cleaning fee is and I could do it myself. Like, I know how to clean up blood. Okay, I'm a female. Okay, blood gets everywhere when you're a female, as you know. So that wasn't a big deal. That's the worst I've ever dealt with. Thank God. Okay, like over 2,500 miles Uber alone, I never had a vomiter. I had one person who asked me to pull over. They opened the door, did their thing, and then closed the door. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's like textbook courtesy there. Thank you for telling me that you were going to hurl and doing it outside my car. Now, this person did not hurl. No. So they're saying, okay, so then what's your other options? I said, well, this is orifice 1. Now you've got orifices 2 and 3, right? Down there. Well, yeah. And it's like, oh, they did number 1, right? Did they like wet themselves? Like, no, they didn't wet themselves. So what exactly did they do? Apparently the driver states, from what we heard, is that the passenger in the back completely went number 2 in the back of the car. And you're like, wait, number 2? Wait, like all over the car? It's like, yeah, like in the back seat, the whole thing. And they're going, wait a minute, wait, but if you're wearing pants, doesn't that contain it, most of it? No, the person actually took off their pants completely and did the number 2 in the back of the car. And you're sitting there like, how is that legal? Like, this person basically just performed shiitake in the back of the car. Yeah. And you, at the end of this, want to perform seppuku after what you just saw. Yeah. No, that's literally what happened. And unfortunately, when something like this happens, you have to take pictures. You have to document it. And then you have to drive back to the hub immediately, because it's a biohazard, and then you're sitting there going, okay, there's this mess in the back of my car. I hope you drove with the windows down, and it was late enough that no one else was there to share and partake in that lovely aroma, because I'm sorry, that's uncalled for. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I do appreciate the fact that even though I have that really brutal schedule of the 4 a.m. to noon is that by the time I'm picking anyone up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm out there, 4 is my report time technically, and I have to do all the pre-ride checks before I get out there. So it's almost like 4:30 by the time I'm, out there looking for rides or getting passengers. Is that by the time it's that time, everybody wants to go to work. Everyone has a reason to leave. People, you get really, really easy visual cues when it comes to picking up passengers. Like, does the person have luggage? Is the person wheeling something out the door? Does the person, and that's easy. It's like, oh, you see them coming about 50 yards away, and you're like, oh, that's easy. Pop the trunk. Very easy little things like that. But yeah, I couldn't imagine the amount of just WTH that would have happened if someone decided to do that particular act of human function in the back of my car. To be fair, I would rather have 2 people fucking in the back of the car over that. Seriously. Like, because at least I get a show out of it. Or the dash cam in front of me would get the show. I would be fine with that. And then I'll be like, okay, cool, because, that mess would just cost a couple napkins, not, like, you might as well just condemn the car and burn it, like, at that point. Like, that's just awful. So yeah. That I did not put in my Substack. That's because that is a hearsay story. But believe me, because it happened at my hub in El Segundo. Oh, it was the talk of the town prior to the beginning of the shift. And mind you that this was happening like the week of Thanksgiving. So, yeah, if you are thinking of doing anything like that in an Uber, please be prepared to pony up, because I have seen cleaning fees upwards to $1,000 doing that. So that would be a very expensive trip to the restroom. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? At least have the decency to excuse yourself outside the car. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So in addition to that, throwing in the Substack, and also adding to that, I have a connected YouTube channel to said Substack that these kinds of broadcasts end up getting reposted on for your further consumption later. Complete with small synopsis stuff with the aid of AI, so that it can just analyze whatever I said for the last 27 minutes so far. I figure, let me take advantage of some automation. I'm already tired. I don't need to go and reanalyze everything I just said today. And it's just my opportunity to play around with technologies that I really did not have a chance to play with when I was working this last job at USC. I will say it's been nice to experiment and revisit certain things. The Substack rekindles an old love I had for blogs. For those who have known me long enough, I've had a blog called Two Wheel Tourist since 2009, and it was only for like a small spat. I ran it from 2009 to 2019, and then for a small spat in 2024 when I was on vacation, I kind of resurrected it, but it's kind of like been left to the wayside. But all of the stories are still archived on there if you want to see some old stuff. And I have found that Substack has been like Blogger on crack, where I have options to include even more graphics, even more video, opportunities for chat. I don't know where this is going to go. But the big reason why I like to write about all this stuff is that it is very interesting. I think it's interesting. People like to read it. But in addition to me doing that, it's also kind of a form of therapy for me to just talk about, like, this is what's actually happening. And also just to kind of legitimize that jobs like this, especially in service, especially with Rideshare and all of these services that people use day in, day out, the actual people behind them, which happen to be, one of those people just happens to be me right now. These are jobs that really came about because of a need, but also because of the evolution of a long-standing need for transportation. And the people who drive these It's like the people who do part-time jobs that are nowhere near the type of talent that they have. You know, there is a humanity behind the things that we have to do just to survive. You know, I know quite a few brilliant people that have to work retail because they don't have a choice. I'm not saying that retail is a bad position, but there are many people who, if you gave them a chance to pull another tool out of their skill set, they could probably thrive in another industry. And I mean, obviously, I'm one of them. You know, I have. I don't like to use like negative or demeaning words like being relegated, for example. But you know, right now I am currently exercising one of the very few choices I have in order to get health insurance, which is the reason why I'm here. So if I'm going to be here doing this, let me just have a little fun with it, because at least I can look at back at this and laugh at the fact that this economy is such horrible garbage that I have had to get so creative, and that creativity has given me material to do even more creative things with it. And that's the attitude that I'm going to bring into this. Also, because how often are you just driving down the road and you get to witness and you get to see in real life an Oscar Mayer wiener truck pass you on a left turn? I mean, I got to see the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile yesterday, like in Torrance. For those who are keeping score, it was right at the intersection of Torrance and Amy Avenue, right past the 7-Eleven, right past the City Hall and all that. But yes, it was the one and the very very cool Oscar Mayer Wiener truck, making a left turn in front of me. And it was great because I had a person in the car who was actually very very sweet lady. And when I pointed it out, she had no idea what she was looking at. She goes, "Wait, is that what I think it is?" And yes, I was actually taking her to her physical therapist at the time. I had just picked this person up. I had just finished the first stop because she needed to drop something off at the cleaners. Got on the street, and there's the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. And she was laughing too. And it was just really nice to be able to add a little bit of light to this whole to the whole day. You know, it was like, you know, you're going to physical therapy. I've been there too. You know, I've been through quite a bit of physical stuff this year. You know, regardless of what I do, whether or not I'm pissed or angry or miserable about it, I did it. I got through it. So I'm just gonna laugh about the whole damn thing, and I'm okay with that. So that's what happened. But you know, just a reminder to everyone, especially not just this holiday season, but just in general, is, you know, us service people, and I've always been in service. If it's not driving people around in circles, it's teaching children and then hoping they, you know, and trying to make sure, especially if they're under 18, trying to make sure that they don't die. You know, I've been in service jobs majority of my life. And yes, we as service people do make the sacrifice and also the open choice to, and especially if you piss us off, to not choke the living crap out of you. We make the conscious choice every single day, every single moment. So if you want to make this a pleasant experience, I will be pleasant with you. If you're not going to make this a pleasant experience, just be glad that forced choking is a fictional action and it can only be done in a Star Wars universe. Yeah. Anyway, with that said, I hope that you got a little bit of humor out of this one today. You know, it's crazy that I'm like looking at my window right now and it's 4:38 p.m. I'm going to be in bed in probably 3.5 hours at the latest. And I'm realizing that the sun is already going down. And I know it's only going to get worse because winter solstice, I believe, is December 20th or 21st, I forget. But we're getting close to basically the shortest day of the year. And I'm sitting here like, well, I guess it's okay that we're in the middle of that because I have to go to sleep so early, so I don't feel so shitty about still sleeping when the sun was out. You know, I guess there's some value to that. But anyway, keep it real. Sunday's just another drive day for me, and then Monday is my Friday. I am definitely looking forward to a little bit of R&R, not this upcoming week, but next week. I will sneak in here a little bit, but thanks to uh, a little bit of plea bargaining that I made with the company that I work for, and also because I was able to tell them that these dates were retroactive to my employment with the company. I was able to, I mean, obviously at the cost of a week's worth of pay, but I needed for my sanity. But I was able to preserve my Palm Springs vacation that I had been planning since March. So at least there's that. I'll have 1 week off where I can sleep normally and ride my motorcycle. And I am just hoping for good weather and good vibes because it has been that kind of year, as you know. And I don't have to mention it again because I seem to do that every single time. But a parting thought I have was that I had one passenger today, and this one was really poignant because it was a scheduled ride, and I picked up this passenger from USC, actually at the University Village, not far from, actually right across the street from campus. And this particular USC student is an international. So I have my car, I'm set up, and so this student comes by, and that they load their stuff in the car. They had a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm talking like luggage, 2 luggages, and everything else. And I'm looking at it, and it's Saturday. Finals for USC aren't technically till next week. And I'm thinking in my head, what's going on here? Like, why is this person like leaving town now? So anyway, I get this person in the car, and we start talking on the way to LAX. And it turns out, first off, that the student is an international student. Second off, this student had played for one of the university NCAA Division I soccer teams, which it's only the women, by the way. So I think that kind of just gave it away. So then she says, yeah, so I played for the team. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I tell her a little bit about my situation. I'm an alumni, and I used to work for the university until August. She then proceeds to tell me that, she's going home. She's going back to her home country, and that she's withdrawing from the university, and that this particular semester, this first semester that she was here, is her only semester here, and she's going home. And I asked why. And this student let me know that it's because it wasn't what she signed up for, and it wasn't a fit for her and her potential career aspirations, which she had a couple, and I could see why. She also mentioned that work visas were going to be a pain in the ass to get in the future, which isn't surprising, and especially in the industry that she was looking to get into. I can see why. And without disclosing too much about that, I could see that. I mean, the difference is, though, is that she had the decision to leave. And thankfully, she was on scholarship since she's an NCAA athlete. So, like, this particular semester probably cost her next to nothing to be at, except for, like, travel expenses and whatnot, which is great for her. But it's pretty crazy where you're at the point where you're at a university and you choose to leave because it didn't fit, and you're talking to someone, you're having conversation with someone who worked for the university, went to the university, and was told to leave but didn't want to. So that was pretty wild. But I wish that person the best, and I think she's a smart girl. I think she's going to go places. I hope to see her maybe on television someday. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up for the evening and finish the rest of my matcha. And y'all take care. You all have a good Sunday. Have a good Saturday night. Please, 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 if you do take an Uber, please make sure you use the restroom before taking the Uber tonight. We would appreciate it very much. And yeah, keep it real. Be good. I'll see you online another time. And like I said, thank you again for all your support. Thank you for helping me out. I hope that I can continue to entertain online. At least this is the least I could do as a token of my appreciation, and also a way of just keeping it sane, because the world is weird right now. Talk to y'all soon.